I'm very happy to be here, and I'm honored to be asked to present on behalf of 3M on our experience on the road test. Before I get into the actual road test, I think it's very important that I set the stage by telling you a little bit more about 3M. The company is actually in St. Paul, Minnesota, headquartered, and we are a $23 billion company with 74,000 employees worldwide, and we make up one of 30 companies of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. We are truly a global company. We have facilities in over 60 countries, and we have over 160 manufacturing facilities. Sustainability for 3M is a global objective. We are also a very diversified technology company. Maybe that's where all the PhDs in chemistry come from. We have more than 40 core technologies that are mostly interwoven in different products. And we did create our own periodic system just for technologies because it was getting quite cumbersome to talk about them. We do have 6 market-leading businesses in consumer and office, electrocommunications, display and graphics, healthcare, industrial and transportation, and safety, security, and protection. Within these very different market businesses, we provide more than 60,000 different products. And this is not SKUs. We have 1.5 million of those. This is truly unique, different products. Our corporate values are now on the screen, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but I wanted to mention the one that is highlighted in blue, to respect our social and physical environment around the world. Our corporate values really form the foundation for our sustainability efforts. Sustainability at 3M is truly the 3 pillars of economic success, environmental protection, as well as social responsibility. Our goal is to meet the needs of society today while respecting the ability of future generations to meet their needs. And sustainability is not new to 3M. We have a very long-standing commitment to sustainable development, and we started in 1970, the environmental department that I am a part of. We have our first energy management program in 1973. In 1975, we have our environmental policy adopted, as well as launched the globally recognized program of 3P, Pollution Prevention Pays. We have in 1998 adopted the policy of product lifecycle management, which I will get into a little bit more in a few minutes, and launched our first sustainable product catalog in 2007. 3M really has a holistic approach to environmental sustainability, and I'm not going to have time to go into each one of those, but I wanted to address a little bit more one aspect, and that is manufacturing and logistics. To meet society's and 3M's expectations for environmental improvement, we have the 3P program to prevent the pollution at the source. We do have corporate environmental goals that are in about 5-year intervals, and we are reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. We have also been doing that for quite a while, and it has been a priority for us. In the years from 1990 to 2009, we reduced corporate greenhouse gas emissions by 77%. In the years between 2002 to 2009, we reduced U.S. emissions by 79%, and that was part of the U.S. EPA's Climate Leader program. All of those inventories are also following the WRI standard, the WRI WBCSD Scope 1 and 2, and are third-party verified. That is why we also evaluated Scope 3, but I'm not going to focus on that today. 3M is really using product lifecycle management as a pathway to sustainability. We look at every single phase in product development at all EHS&R aspects. So you cannot move through a gate review in product development without having addressed all the risks and opportunities in EHS&R. So then why do you think we may want to do product carbon footprint? For us, LCA is traditionally a snapshot of an existing process. You have your process, you do an LCA analysis, you identify hotspots to solve them. LCM is a process to avoid hotspots. You look at your product development at every phase to not even get to a hotspot you need to fix later. For us, product carbon footprint is one aspect of sustainability, and we strongly believe that it needs to be evaluated together with some other aspects. So why do we do product carbon footprint? We have quite a few customers now that want to have a number. They want to have a product carbon footprint number. We also utilize it to assist in strategic decisions, for example, as raw material selection, but it's never used all by itself. The main challenges we saw before starting on the road test was there's really no standard available for comparative assertion. And that's actually listed in the standards as one of the things you can't do. We have gotten customer requests, and they just don't specify what boundaries to be used. And some of those questions on the screen may sound really ridiculously easy if you are an LCA practitioner. But you ask the requester some of those, and there's silence on the other side because they didn't realize what they were asking. I got as a response from one customer that requested it, well, isn't carbon footprint like the kilocalorie of a product? Just give me the number. There's a lot of not big knowledge out there if you go to different customers. And all of the challenges with the standard really results in an impossibility to compare numbers, but the reality is that's exactly what the requester does. They make a buying decision based on the number we provide. And that was one of our main reasons to get involved with the road test, because it is getting increasingly important. Now to the product that we used in our road test. We used a water infrastructure spray-in-place pipe coating. To explain a little what that means, we are addressing with this product a problem of aging water infrastructure. In drinking water pipes in Europe as well as America, you have tuberculation and corrosion. You have water quality. Not sure anybody would want to get into the bathtub that's depicted there. And you have transverse shear breaks and pinhole leaks. Those can lead to major sinkholes, such as we had about 6 weeks ago in Minneapolis. The solution landscape for that has two main solution categories. The one is called the open cut method. You're actually taking the road, you're digging the whole road up, you take the pipe out, you put a new pipe in. That's extremely costly, mostly because you have to dig up the road and rebuild it. It's also very disruptive because we all don't like construction, and this is a very long-standing construction area. In situ rehabilitation methods, in the contrast, are quite a bit cheaper because you only have to dig an access hole. They're also quite a bit faster, so construction is in a smaller area and a lot shorter in duration. This is what it looks like. So you do have to dig, but you actually only dig a small access hole. You look at the water pipe, and it's kind of disgusting to think that that's a drinking water pipe, but that's reality. So first of all, you clean the pipe with a little robot that goes into the pipe and cleans it up. After that, you spray in place the pipe coating. That's the name. And all you have to do then is wait about 2 to 3 hours, and you can reuse the pipe, which is very much appreciated by anybody that's along that water line. So why did we use this product? Well, first of all, we expected a benefit on carbon footprint compared to other methods and materials used. But secondly, we were lucky in this one because though we have a lot of different manufacturing facilities, this one is made in one facility. It's not transported around, it's made in one facility. So we had one contact to work with in the facility. It's also one of our more easily less technology intense products, and that was really helpful to facilitate the schedule of the road test. I would be amiss not to show you a nice slide on results. The green bars is the 3M product. Now this particular screen is only the actual materials. It does not take into account the actual installation, lifetime, and disposal. With that, it was a lot more contrasting and a lot more significant as a difference. But it does show that you can have significant good results using the standard. And we did apply the standard, by the way, to all of these products. So how did the standard work for us? As a brief summary, great. We really did like it. And we did try out all different standards that we can find. We do like the detail in the standard in general, and Andrea said that in some instances the standard should be more specific. Yeah, but compared to others, it's really good. So it's a really good step in the right direction. And it does provide sufficient detail to complete a report. It is applicable to a variety of products, which, if you have 60,000 very different products, is quite important as well. And those reporting templates prove to be very useful because we don't want to just give a number to our customers, because then what does that mean? The reporting templates in there really helped us generate meaningful information for the requester. Now, I do want to mention some of the things that we had challenges with in the standard, and I was picking the top 6 of that. The absolute biggest one is comparative assertion. We understand that's a big challenge in developing a standard, but also I think we are missing the target if we don't have a standard that allows for comparative assertion, because reality is those numbers are going to be used in exactly that fashion. Secondly, the uncertainty determination. Again, a huge challenge to do that in a carbon footprint or LCI calculation. But if I don't have that, what does my number really mean? How does my customer that requested the number know whether my number of 10 and a competitor's number of 5 or 15 are really different? If we don't have uncertainty, we don't have a number, and we can't do comparative assertion. The third one is a scope requirement question. In the standard, it says if you're controlling the process, you have to do a cradle to grave. Nothing wrong with that, other than the customer doesn't want it. Our requests, 90% of the time that are coming from external, are cradle to gate. We believe that it would be much more applicable if in the standard it would allow to define which scope you're doing and then follow the standard for that scope, instead of demanding a specific scope. De minimis. This is a real challenge for us. Currently, the standard, and when I'm saying the current standard, it's the standard version that we had for the road test, says that you have to evaluate each and every component, and if afterwards you find out it's negligible, you can take it out. Well, then I already put the number of hours in to get that. One of the challenges we have is I got one product, not through the road test, but also to use the standard, that gave me 2 pages of raw materials to go into the one standard. Over 1 page of that was concentrations of 0.001%. So the standard says I need to evaluate all those raw materials on how they are made and what the carbon footprint of that raw material is for my process. That's not really feasible for industry. And it's not feasible if you have 60,000 products and have a lot of different raw materials in them. Another challenge was the whole discussion on primary versus secondary data. In the standard, it says you shall get primary data from your suppliers. You know, the primary data from the suppliers may not be good, and how would I evaluate that? So they tell me the product carbon footprint of this raw material is 70. Okay, how do I know that they actually calculated it and not, as we heard from one competitor, used an energy bill of the facility and allocated for manufacturing of product X? I wouldn't necessarily know. Where if I use data that's in a database such as Gabi, there's very good documentation on what was included in that data, so I can evaluate that it was done correctly. Also, supplier data may just be quite difficult to obtain. We are currently, as I'm sure a lot of people in the room, working on implementing REACH. There's requirements there on data you have to obtain from suppliers, which is a huge headache. So if we can't get regulatory data, how much success will I have asking for data that's not even regulatory driven? There was also a challenge when we tried Scope 3. We used one of our smallest facilities, which had 400 suppliers, because we have a dual sourcing policy. So I would have to send out for one facility, and it's one of the smallest ones, 400 surveys to suppliers. Now, I said before, we have over 160 manufacturing facilities. So just imagine the scope of that. The last one I wanted to mention is change management. In the standard, it says you should update your carbon footprint assessments once a year. With 60,000 products, not possible. I will never get as many resources as I would need for that. But also, not all requests require that. If a customer requests a carbon footprint to make a buying decision today, does that customer really want an update, or do I really need to update that next year? Now, if I do get a new request, I have to put a management of change process in place to identify when I have to review it and when I have to update it. But a mandated once-a-year update, we believe, is not necessary and not feasible for a complex company like ours. So now that I mentioned 6 bad things or challenges, are we going to use the standard? Did it work for us enough that we will use it? Absolutely yes, and we have been using it. We have done about 10 more projects for very different businesses. We are using it. We will most likely use that to address our customer requirements and needs. We are also using it internally to evaluate raw materials, manufacturing processes, etc. So I think in overall summary, the standard is a wonderful starting point. Are there challenges with that? Certainly. But it's, I think, the best one out there yet. And I think it's definitely worthwhile using. Thank you, and I'm gladly entertaining any questions.